Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful event with the Virtual Tasting Society. I'm Jan Kilkenny, and I'm subbing for Vivian Perlovsky tonight. Today, we are thrilled to welcome our very own Lizzie Mack and a brand new spirits company, American Icon Spirits. And tonight, we're doing a celebration of all things Evel Knievel. So please keep yourself on mute unless you are asking a question. Please try and keep everything on topic. Please, please, please. Feel free to use the chat, ask questions. We're here to get nerdy and learn things. If you don't really want to speak on camera, toss it in the chat and I'll relay it. So, with that being said, Lizzie Mack, take it away.
All right. Well, welcome everyone, and kind of fun to get to do this for Virtual Tasting Society because y'all are my crew and my team, um, and hopefully more people will join as we go. But I did a crazy thing about 3 years ago and decided to spend a year fully researching and writing a book about the whiskey business. And had the honor, and I think it's actually behind my head here, Murray McDavid and several other independent bottlers and blenders interviewed for my book. And as I was trying to decide what I did in the whiskey industry for my second half of my life and career, I'm 55. I just sold my consulting company and got divorced and all those fun life things that happen when you're in a transition period. And I just loved the concept of getting to go all over the world and curate and select. And I didn't want to run a distillery again. I'm a chemical engineer. I've built them. Really, really crazy. It's a lot of work. And so I was like, what's the best of both worlds? And when I interviewed three of the, independent bottlers and blenders here that are known pretty well globally, I was like, that I could do. Like getting to curate and work. But I actually, in my previous life, helped scale companies, not and spirits companies, some of the most famous spirits brands I've worked with. And unfortunately, everything's under NDA, or else I could name drop, but spent my career doing it and realized like, oh, if I'm really going to have my second half of my life, getting the opportunity to curate things. And so my original company was My Whiskey Sherpa, right? I thought that was such a cool name. And we had a mermaid thing and it was all that. But in January, my business partner, Lathan McKay, who I apologize is not on this call, he was feeling under the weather today, so he wasn't sure if he was going to make it. I got a crazy phone call from someone saying they worked for the Evel Knievel family, and they've been trying to launch a spirits brand in his honor. He's actually just got named a Smithsonian National Treasure. A movie of his life's coming out, I think, in 2027. And his museum that was in Topeka, Kansas, is now in a giant 35,000 square foot facility, kind of in the same area as the Mafia Museum, opening in June. And Lathan was really interested in, finally, like, we have the museum, we have all this, let's do what we've always wanted to do and do some really commemorative releases. And so we ended up getting into, I started working for the family, and then Lathan took it a step further and said, I bet there's other American icon families that want to do this. And so what ended up being the Knievels, and that's our initial release, we have this amazing set of people and releases behind it of families of really iconic people in American history. Some are still living, some are not, started approaching us and saying, hey, can I do this? So that's how we got started, and we ended up forming American Icon Spirits Company. And so we don't just do independent bottling and blending and selecting and curating. And in fact, two of the whiskeys you're going to try, they're under development. So I actually wanted to hear from you all, because I'm actually literally in the distillery over the next month or two, perfecting and deciding what we're going to do with those two releases. And I trust this group, so I thought it'd be fun to give you our trials of those two. And then I've curated and have relationships now. Our target is, I want to promote craft distilling. And what we bring is, for any craft distillery, most of them may only have distribution in their state or a couple surrounding states. we as an organization, and because I have a contract distillery at my disposal, we can sell anywhere on the planet. And so for brands that have really amazing stuff and might take them 20, I don't know, it takes 2, 3, 4 years to negotiate that, can do releases with our American icons with us and get access to a whole market and launching their brands that they wouldn't get to. Because I'm really, at the end of the day, I'm a small business person and I love to help small businesses grow. And you guys know as well as I do that tasting styles are also changing and craft is doing well. Big brands, cheap whiskeys, not so well. And when you look at millennial and Gen Z drinking habits, they do buy very expensive whiskey. They do not buy cheap whiskey, which was interesting to me when I got to study the generational habits. So, any questions on that? Because I would love to get to tasting.
I'm ready for some drinking.
All right, awesome. So our first one up, and hopefully with the labels on the bottles, it's kind of easy. Yeah, I was gonna say it's got the iconic Evel Knievel walking. If you actually look up some of the most famous photos for Evel Knievel, this is definitely one of them. It was an iconic moment in his history, and after he'd done a jump. And what's interesting is when you're building a brand for an American icon, for this, we actually run a competition called the Daring Distillers Program, because most of the people we have in the queue as American icons were daring. A lot of them were considered heroes. Some of them had controversial lives, but this first one that you're tasting is what I chose as our crowd pleaser. And I will tell you, on all of these samples, you're going to sense that, yes, this girl is Scottish. I was trained in Scotch first and bourbon and rye second. And I'm also a Texas girl and I love pecans. And interestingly enough, this first one did win a gold at the Global Spirits Competition. I didn't actually expect it to better than a bronze because we took a risk. It's only a 3-year-old bourbon. All right. And normally I like it at 4 or 5. But when we talked to people and just, we're very focus group oriented. So we get people together, our target audiences, liquor stores, whatever the release is, I kind of curate a group here. And so if you take a sip of this one, you're going to pick up very quickly. I love my malted barley. All right. So take a sip of this one. And for a bourbon, it's very smooth. And it was interesting. It ended up gold medaling and the judges, this proof, it's 50%. So 50-50. Your samples didn't come. I'm so sorry, Adam. That's a bummer. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually being released this year as a 3-year, right? But we do have it 4 years now. So we actually, in the year that we released this one and got it out and got it into competitions and everything, and it's going for sale in March. Well, it's actually for sale, but it'll be on the shelves in March. I purposely pulled it early because I knew that when I add a pecan finish on it, if you've ever tasted some bad pecan whiskeys, which I have because I've always been trying to find the perfect one, pecans can go rancid while you're trying to flavor the whiskey. And so a lot of them have a bitter aftertaste. If the whiskey's too strong, it'll jack the pecan finish. And so we made a choice to do a 50% mix, and the pecans are only kept in there for a very specific period of time, as is the wood. Yeah, Tony, it tastes more like fresh pecans. Well, believe it or not, we do native Oklahoma pecan wood and pecan shells, and we only hang them in there for a specific amount of time, which I can't even give out because we figured out something that others who are making pecan whiskey didn't. And so our distiller and Land Run Distillery actually won this first round of competition and also ended up becoming the distillery I'm going to continue to partner with to work on my blends and things. Because we have a blessing to have access to several independent blenders, as well as my chemical engineering's fun. I like to go in there and play. So that's why the last two are going to be kind of fun, and I'm going to play with you and get your opinion. But I wanted fresh pecans. I did not want the bitterness that's normally in a bourbon pecan finished whiskey. And then the other thing, because I wanted this to be our crowd pleaser, I added more malted barley than you would typically expect. This is actually 20% on the malted barley because I wanted to smooth it out, which typically, bourbons don't, so this one was really played with, and just, I would love to take credit for coming up with the perfect mixture. What I do is I curate it, and then I go and I hunt and I find someone who can do it or is already doing it. And I was really lucky because I met a land run distillery, actually they just launched, they were just open. And they heard about the competition, and I told them what I was looking for. And he said, I think I've got it, and I'm going to finish it for you and send you a sample. And they snuck in right under the wire before our competition ended and sent me this one. And I was thrilled because it almost matched perfectly what I was hunting for. So I do believe in serendipity because I'm like, what were the odds that I would find someone who knew how to finish the pecans, how I specified it, who had put enough malted barley in it and had it kind of on the youngish side. Now, what I would love, and I'll send you guys, just keep my information. I'm Lizzie at AmericanIconSpirits.com. The 4-year-old is more for the mature drinker, but it's amazing. Like, I can't wait to actually put it in. Yeah, so this is pecan wood and shells, and then we hang nuts in it for a very short period of time. So, because they go rancid. And so what I'm hoping you're experiencing is a nice bourbon. And one of the things I'm going to share with the group, Jane, and you can send it out to everyone, is I've actually created a pecan pie old fashioned with it. And it's with brown simple syrup and molasses bitters, Lambrusco cherries, and then a little bit of the orange rind. And when I do events, it sells out. Like, I'm lucky if it makes it 30 minutes. Because it does. And
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, cool. I actually love old fashions. And so it was really fun for me to play with this one. And I love pecan pie. I'll be honest. I'm just pecan everything. And yes, Robert, when you say it reminds you of a scotch, not a bourbon, that was actually, it was really interesting. One of the reasons we got the gold medal was the judges were like, wow, this is very unique, very different, and very approachable. Like, it's like a gateway drug to scotch. Because I put so much malted barley in it, it has that like scotchy finish. And no surprise, it's doing very well in Scotland. Because it's like got the bourbon, but it's also got that lovely scotch mouth that they like. Any questions on this one? And I'm going to take a sip of it because this is one of my favorites.
I think
So
this is
just corn and malted barley, or were there any other grains?
It has 14% rye. So just to give it a little kick because it was young. But I can't wait to send you guys the 4-year one. I'll just, whoever signed up for this tasting, I'll just send samples out to everybody. But
Yes.
yeah, well, and I just, I'd love to continue to collaborate with the group too, because you guys are my tribe, and I come every, when I can, and I'm not on the road and doing an event. And it does beautifully cling to the glass. Like I said, you can tell that I'm a Scotch girl because there's a lot of things about it that are different than your traditional. And yes, if that is so important, Heinrich, if you do add rye, if you do add water, that's when you'll pick up the other stuff, and a couple drops will really change this one. And it's been interesting. The focus groups were about 50-50 on whether to put ice in it or not. I personally use cold whiskey stones, but Half the group liked it on, with a nice whiskey cube in it and drinking it neat. The other surprising thing was this scored very high with both men and women, which was interesting to me because, men and women typically have very, kind of different preferences. But this was like I said, this one's our crowd pleaser. This was meant to be like an experienced drinker would enjoy it, as well as someone who might not have any background in it. So, and that one is the Pecan. So is everybody ready to try the rye? So our rye, I got the best phone call on the planet. Yeah, it's got the big red rye. So that is Evel Knievel's iconic truck. He lived out of that truck. It was in two parts, his living quarters and where he jumped from. And when you see the full-size bottles, I was trying to save some of the Pecan, but I couldn't do it. Yeah, it's very drinkable. In fact, I laughed because we've given some inside people stuff, and yeah, they were like, oh, when you told me it was 3 years, I kind of had a prejudice, and now I've drank the whole bottle, so it goes down a little bit too well. But what you're going to think is funny is, so the best phone call I got after the Global Spirits Competition in Las Vegas was a friend of mine said, congrats on Forbes magazine. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't realize we had come in top 3. Whistle Pig beat us, and I'm so happy. Like, I'm happy to come into second to Whistle Pig, who's been making rye a hell of a lot longer than Land Run and my team has been doing it. And so the Big Red Rye is, again, I'm a Scotchy girl. It's 65% rye, 35% malted barley. So I have to confess, I'm not a rye drinker. I struggle to find a rye I like. And so what I was looking for was the highest malted barley rye I could find anyone producing. Because I don't like the green pepper. I don't like and rye drinkers love that stuff, right? And so I thought, what if I play a game? Like, I couldn't find anyone doing more than 20%. And I really wanted 30 or higher. Because the other thing that so I'm studying cask finishing and woods and all that stuff. And I got the honor of going over to Scotland last year and, meeting with Billy Walker and Tony Reman Clark and some of the best, finishers in Scotland. And Alistair Day, I know you guys did an Isle of Rosie tasting. I was on it myself. I had this fascinating conversation with all of them about finishing Scotch in rye barrels. And I thought, let's flip the equation, right? So they're finishing their Scotch in rye barrels. Well, how about I take the rye and put a ton of malted barley in it? And so that's what you're tasting here is, I don't know, and maybe you all know, I think I'm now the highest malted barley in a rye out there right now. And Land Run Distillery, Jeff Casey, who runs that distillery, proof is 50 on this one also. And Jeff, he's like me, he loves his Scotch and everything else. And so, again, I was like, you have 35% rye. I want to try it. And I had some very famous people try this one, and they all were like, lock it down, Liz. Like, this is different. And yeah, we did take top 3. And Whistle Pig took the first 2 slots. We were the 3rd slot. And that's why Forbes magazine wrote us up. But it's the best day of my life to come in second to Whistle Pig. This is, my first release, my first company. I was thrilled. In fact, I was just, I couldn't, be more happy. And I'm just kind of curious, because I don't know if any of you are rye drinkers, what do you think of it? Like, it was a risk to put malted barley in it at that concentration. I'm just, you're all being really
Gonna
cool.
let it
Curious,
ride.
which Whistle Pigs beat you out? Just was it an age statement or a name?
I don't know. We scored like 1 point below. So it's all scored. It was this. I'm very picky about what competitions we enter. And sorry, I'm sweating, so I'm taking off my jacket now. If you know who I work for, um, I only enter fully blind, no conflict of interest, non-alcohol sponsors competitions. So all I know is this was a fully blind competition, and Whistle Pig came in the first two. I think their first one was a 99. The second one was a 96 score, and we were like right below it by a point. And the judges loved the malted barley. They actually felt like it helped them taste the rye better because it took kind of the mouth feel. You swirled it around a little bit more as a rye, right? You could kind of pick it up. And they also thought it was risky. They didn't, in these fully blind competitions, they don't know what they're tasting. In fact, they were shocked to know they gave a gold medal to a 3-year-old bourbon, kind of thing. So, yeah.
I'm a big rye guy.
Yeah.
And with me, your stuff leans, I guess the barleys, which really, I'm not a Scotch guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like Scotches. And that's what this flavor pushes it to me for.
Yeah, it does. It's very Scotch. Our next rye is not this high.
Yeah. So like the Old World 12, the 12-year-old Whistle Pig is one of my favorite. I love stuff, casks in different barrels.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, I'm a bourbon rye guy. So I've been trying that. But this reminds me, like the first one I told you, remind me completely of a Scotch, not
Mm-hmm.
a bourbon. So
Yeah.
I'm a rye guy, and these are leaning in my taste buds more towards the Scotch. I'm just being honest.
And they are, and this is the one I actually laughed. I was like, this first round of releases definitely shows my bias. Whereas our next round, our next rye is much more traditional, and it's delicious. And I think it's going to do really well. But it's only like 15% malted barley. So it has less of that Scotchy finish. We do know that a lot of our drinkers and our fan base lean more towards Scotch. And I don't know why, but I guess American icons, I haven't quite figured it out, but I'm learning our client base. But I totally agree with you. All of these have that Scotchy, and that's my bias, right? But I can tell you the next round, I didn't get to bias it. I actually worked with a bigger team than I had on these original releases. So they're going to look a little different.
Yeah, so definitely we are bourbon and rye gals over here too. And big Evel Knievel fan, been to the museum in Topeka. Sad that it's not there anymore, but it'll be amazing in Vegas.
Oh gosh, when you see the Vegas one, I got to visit it. Oh my gosh. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm wondering, I appreciate that Scotch is your flavor profile and you love Scotches, got it. But if Evel Knievel is first and foremost a wild turkey guy, then why lean towards Scotch flavors of the malt, obviously? Why lean so heavy to the malt when he's a wild turkey guy, had it in his cane, drank it out of his cane? I mean, all that. He's
interestingly enough, I had a lot of conversations with the family, and I also did some research. So when Evel Knievel's drinking, there was only 5 choices, right? Wild turkey being one of them.
Sure.
And those 5 choices, he went for the buzz. It was actually what calmed his nerves to do his jumps. But what the family told me was Evel Knievel liked rich and first class everything. And so what he put in his cane may not necessarily be what he would do. He liked daring things. He liked different things. He liked things that were very on the high class side. There's lots of interviews you'll see him talking about, I only buy the best. I only buy the most expensive. My cane has that. And so the family felt like, malted barley is an expensive ingredient. It gives a certain level of complexity and things like that. So the family did give me freedom to interpret his kind of expensive taste buds. And we do have how can I even say this? Let me just say there will be some things coming out that are closer to his original, but better tasting. And I can't release any more than that, but we had, the power of an NDA, exactly. I was only given 12 months to get the first releases out. And as you know, in whiskey world, that's a really fast, like my typical schedule to do a whiskey launch is 3 to 5. We're curating it, we're aging it, we're finishing it, we're done, and so we had a lot of discussions because I had to use what I had too. As far as I had already sourced and we had winners to the program. And so how we did this round is we took all the submissions and picked the ones that the family felt and I felt represented his daring spirit.
Well, and there you go. Yeah, to me, it just seemed like a mismatch having the Scotch profile. But I mean, if the family was behind it and they picked it, then that's how you wound up.
Well, the family was really thrilled. So if there's one thing I can tell you about all our decisions on this, they want to be able to win awards on the whiskeys. They want to be known. This is a long-term brand for them. We're starting with whiskey, but we're doing all the spirits. They want to be known for high quality. They want to have gold medals on all their releases. Doing a wild turkey-ish one out the gate is not that. They're trying and want a sustainable long-term company and brand. And so they basically
not just a gimmick.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like they are looking at this endeavor and this partnership with American Icon Spirits. They want us to be still around 10 years from now or even bought out by one of the bigger companies. But the quality thing was really important because, as you know, and I did the research for them, every celebrity brand that comes out typically is profitable year one. By year 2, it's barely breaking even. And by year 3, most celebrities are dropped on whiskey. So that's the opposite of what they wanted. They wanted, Evel Knievel's iconic and timeless. So I was given the marching orders to find more iconic, timeless, and award-winning things. And I actually kind of agreed with that because he was my hero. I became an engineer because of him. I have a broken nose because of him, because I thought I could fly on a wagon when I was 4 years old and not fall off and land flat on my face. And so this, when I got to know the family and I got to know Evel and my business partner, Lathan, was so, he's been the archaeologist and historian. He produced all of the Evel Knievel documentaries. He's one of the co-founders of the museum and the one in Vegas. As I got more immersed in it, I realized I was like, yeah, we're going to do iconic, timeless, and high quality because that's what he is. And he went first class everything. And so it's not that we won't have something that is very, I can't even say it. I'm going to blow the NDA. That's traditional for an Evel Knievel thing, but we didn't want to start with that.
Traditional American too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, traditional American wouldn't be Scotch. So yeah.
Yeah. But that's why these are still bourbons. I just amped up, I just chose to amp it up for, I was playing, I'll be honest. I was kind of fascinated with the fact that Scotch is being finished in rye barrels. And so I wanted to flip the switch and see what it looked like to have a rye that was heavy on Scotch, basically, because it's malted barley. So only time will tell. I mean, I was happy we came in second to Whistle Pig. I was shocked. I actually didn't expect, again, I was not expecting the score we got. When I see scores in the 90s on a release, I'm really happy. And so
Lizzie, that's great. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I am a big rye guy, but my wife is a big Scotch lady, and this kind of hits both ends of the trick. I'm not exactly sure exactly how, but I enjoyed this very much. I think it's very nice.
Yeah, and the other thing that was interesting is, and I'm a woman, these scored really high with women. And that was one thing I also wanted to make sure was that, I do a lot of tastings and women often feel left out. And so we did have not just a male focus group, but we had a group of women who we're not Scotch drinkers. They were, we when we pick our focus groups, they're kind of interesting. I'm trained in industrial psychology as well as chemical engineering. So we put together kind of an interesting mix of people in the room. So, and we'll continue to do so. I really loved, when you get to hear from such a diverse group of people, and our goal is to represent an icon. We had a lot of Evel fans who were like, oh, Evel would have drunk this. This is like smooth and it tastes expensive. Like every Evel fans are really gratefully, and I'm thankfully, they're very robust in their comments.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so it was kind of fun to play that too, is everybody has their perceptions of who Evel Knievel was. So it was kind of fun to play with that. And what's even more fun is that we have a bunch of other American icons behind this that, I have to again go in and work with groups to capture what that essence is. So, but Evel Spirits and the Knievel family, it was just lovely to work with, because they just, as long as it was quality, it would sell and it would create a brand that had a great reputation. They did give me a lot of freedom. So, all right. Any other questions
curious
on the
if
rye?
you tried any malted rye with it.
Pardon?
Have you tried malted rye with it?
I think our next release has 10% malted rye.
Wow.
It's not we're still aging it. It's almost there, but not quite. But yes, I actually love malted rye. I just love everything malted. I'll be honest. I just love the flavor profile of that. So yeah, our next one that you'll see has some malted rye in it, and and not so much malted barley. So it lands like a more traditional rye. All right. So number 3 was an interesting one. So not a lot of fans drink cask strength bourbon. We were actually not even going to release this initially, but it ended up doing so well, and it did silver medal. And interestingly enough, it silver medaled because it's so smooth for a cask strength whiskey. So our cask strength is 20% malted barley, and then we've got 14% rye in it. And it was kind of an accident when you get up to 20% malted barley, what I've discovered is it gets very smooth, even in a cask strength whiskey. The other thing is I'm a bit of a purist in that when you go to a store and it says cask strength whiskey and it has the proof pre-printed on the box, I will tell you, as a chemical engineer, every barrel is a different proof when you're doing cask strength. And so one of the things we did do with this one is we have a range of proofs, and we hand write the proof on every bottle that's coming out, because I refuse to add water to give it all the same proof, because to me, that's diluting cask strength, right? Cask strength should be straight from the barrel at the proof that we test that barrel. So what you'll notice about this is, depending on where you buy your bottle, our cask strength is coming between 117 and 127. Now, this is a risk, right? Because like the one you're tasting today is 124. In that it does give a slight variation by bottle. On the other hand, I am a purist, in the thought of adding water to make a, exact copy of every barrel, I just couldn't do it. And so I was very blessed. Landrun agreed with me and said that they would handwrite and test every barrel we bottled and put it on the bottle, so people know that it really is cask strength. We did not touch it. We did not put water in it. And like I said, that's my own, I just have this weird thing about it. I'm like, if it's cask strength, you cannot add anything. But yet most cask strength out there they have to do that to keep it all the same strength. So So know that you're in, one range, and it'll go from 117 to 126.5. The good news is, we're dunnaging and testing. And so we've noticed, if we let it go a certain amount of time, you're definitely going to get the rye on the cask strength if you add water. But yeah, so what you're tasting today, if you go to the store tomorrow, you may see a different cask strength at that store if that barrel came in differently. Right now, most of the barrels are coming in between 120 and 127. And the longer we age them, of course, the good news is they're getting closer and closer. So we're trying to get that window perfect. But I also like, and it's going to be something you'll see on anything this company releases cask strength, we will always write it on the bottle, because I cannot put water. The engineer in me just thinks that's lying on the label. um, this one has some legs. It was really interesting. Where are you guys feeling the heat on this one? I'm just curious, which part of your mouth?
Right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
It nails you right up front.
Yep. And then did it smooth out a little bit? Or did it burn you
a little bit, yes, for sure.
Yeah, I was trying to get it so it hit you, but it smoothed out, and then you got a nice hot throat at the end. I get it in the back and roof of my mouth. Yeah. Like for me, when I do it, and I know everybody's tongues are different, and we've all caught COVID, so we're all missing taste buds we used to have. But what was interesting about this one is some people who are cask strength purists thought it was too smooth. It wasn't hot enough. But I was like, again, everybody's opinions are like airports when it comes to whiskey. So we did play with this, having a little bit more malted barley than our next one. They need to get out more. Yeah. Well, but you have to remember, we came in at the competition. Garrison Brothers took all the top awards. So I wasn't surprised when we got a silver, because when I looked at who scored higher than us, they were all very, Garrison Brothers, I think, took the first 4 slots in the cask strength category. And I love the guys at Garrison Brothers, but I don't, a lot of their stuff to me is too hot, right? Because it's just not my style. But I was happy with a silver on it. It was a last minute decision to release it. But everyone said it was as smooth as the Snake River. And I just thought that was cool. So that's how it became Snake River Reserve. Because as you remember, Evel Knievel jumped it. So, anyone else have any comments on this one before we go to the 2 that are experiments? And I would love to talk to you about these.
I'm actually going to say I agreed with Jamshid's comment about the popcorn. It kind of hits me like right at the back of my teeth before it hits my tongue and the roof of my mouth. I'm like, this is fascinating, because I'm not necessarily a huge cask strength fan. I like it, but it's hard for me to drink it because all I taste is alcohol, and this has got so much more flavor than I was expecting.
And that was what I was going for, is my experience. I'm like you, I'm not a cask strength drinker because I feel like I miss flavors over the burn. And so that's why the malted barley was important to me, because what I do know is that if I get a little bit more malted barley in it, even if it's high proof, it takes the burn down. And I love cask strength whiskey. I think it's so much flavor. And so if you tell me you can get more of the flavor and less than the burn, that's actually what I was going for, because I love the roasted popcorn, buttered, the intensity of bourbon when you put it in a non-diluted situation, but I don't want to blow my mouth up either and burn my tongue out. You added water and got more brown. Yeah, the brown sugar does come out with water. And then of course all these will end with the rye. I've noticed rye always comes out with water. It's kind of just one of those things. I get soap on the nose of the Pure Evil. Oh, you jumped ahead. Heinrich, you're already ahead on the Pure Evil single malt. So here's this fourth one. So we are probably, I don't think I'm releasing the one you're tasting today. Yeah, that's this little mini. So I have an unfinished single malt right now. It's American made. And it's right about 3.5 years old. And I actually chose not to release the Pure Evil single malt right away because it tasted a little young to me, but the request was made. Yeah, it has potential. And so I thought, let's put a little finish on it. So as you've probably noticed with this one, anybody can guess what finish we played with on this one? I'll give you a guess. It's a winey finish. It might be something red. Because I felt like it was light and I was trying to give it a little more depth. Okay. But I'm not sure I like it.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
For me, it's sneaky Chardonnay. It's sneaking into the red whiskeys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, red wines.
Yeah. I knew what you meant.
Sneaking in there ever delicately.
Yes. Yeah. And I've been playing with wine finishing because I got to go over to Scotland and work on Sauterne and Barossa casks and got to do some really cool stuff with that. And I thought, well, let's just, it's the US red wine casks are pretty easy to get your hands on. And so I just wanted to play with it.
So what varietal did you go? What barrel had
it's
what
actually
in it?
A mix of Cab and Shiraz.
Okay.
Your favorite thus far. Yeah, Heinrich. I love my single malts because obviously they're Scotch. But I agree. I would love your opinion on this. I think it needs another year in the barrel. It tastes youngish to me. So that's one of the reasons why we've delayed putting it out. And has any of you tried the Sauterne finished scotches at all?
Yes.
Oh, the ABV on this one is 55.2 as it stands today. And it is aging in a very hot place. So it's gonna go. Yeah, you're right. It is young. And I thought adding the Cabernet and Shiraz would give it more depth. But I still think it needs aging. So for me, and it sounds like you guys agree, I'm leaving it longer. Let's just put it that way. I just feel like it needs a little more time.
I agree.
It's got a lot of what you would expect from Shiraz and Cab, the red fruit notes, the strawberry. It's got that sort of slight creaminess to it.
Mm-hmm. And
yes, it's young.
Yeah.
It's not bad in any way. I would absolutely drink a bottle of this.
Yeah.
So
no. I mean, it's very drinkable. It's not. I call it non-offensive. I don't know what else to say. Like you can drink it. But Jason, you said I don't know that Sauternes would work well. I'm actually curious if I gave you my pure single malt, what would you finish it with? Because all of you on here have tried tons of finishes, right? And the reason why I put this one in here is I'm like, I respect y'all's opinion. And I would love to know, like, I was going to try Sauterne barrels next just to play with it because it's so light right now, but
it's already been finished in wine, so it's
you guys actually literally got one. I have one barrel finished in wine. That's it. I just finished one and I gave you guys
and it's into red wine.
Yep.
Yeah. And I don't think you should go to Sauterne. I think the red wine is the appropriate way to go.
Okay. But
my 2 cents.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, I'd tell you to do the Sauterne because I'd be curious to see how it held up.
Right.
Yeah.
Do them both and make us all happy. Right?
Well, actually, what I am doing, and you'll all appreciate this. So since I can play with the barrels and finish it, we have, I'm heading up to Oklahoma to do a test thing. And I have mini casks of different, Sauterne, Shiraz. I've got a Riesling. What's the other one? I've got a couple other ones. I can't remember them off the top of my head. I'm actually mini finishing a bunch of them because I just wasn't in love with this and I thought it was too young. So now that we've got another year on it. So the one you're tasting is 3. It's now reached 4 years, and it's got a lot more just in the straight oak barrels. It's got a lot more complexity to it just in an extra year of finishing. So again, if you guys are willing and I finish them all, I'm only doing this in very small batches because we have to still decide what we're releasing. I will be happy to send them to you all and say, okay, here's the straight one. I'll send you the unfinished, and then I'll send you the Sauterne, and and just because
each of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So
that would be wonderful.
this almost comes across as a rum barrel finish.
I know that
Okay.
threw me too, and it
Yes.
probably is where I got the barrels. The particular ones that I was able to grab, because the other challenge is when you're a small group, I'm buying things in very small quantities, so I'm grabbing this or that however I can get it, because we're not a big independent bottler or blender yet. I'm hoping to get there. But yeah, I think it had something to do with the particular ones I got my hands on. That's just my thoughts.
But then again, there's something to be said for a fully matured whiskey in bourbon cask, right? I mean, I think it has. I mean, it has potential, and to me, it's. I mean, yes, you said it inoffensive, absolutely. But I mean, to be honest, it's the only one that I actually finished of the samples thus far.
Yeah,
and I do know. I mean, I think Sauterne can be I'm a big fan of peated Scotch that's finished in Sauterne, right? I know that there's some guys in Tucson that to this day still have barrels finishing in Sauterne, and according to them, it's just not ready yet. So I from what I gather from what they're saying is it takes forever to finish in a Sauterne cask.
Yeah.
In their climate. So so there's some of those things you gotta take
and
into
it's going to be
account as
interesting
well.
because the Land Run was originally aging in Virginia, and now their dunnage has been built in Oklahoma. And I went to Texas, girl, so I do know the hot weather aging a little bit better, actually. But what's interesting too is where they're at in Oklahoma actually goes straight across to Scotland lines. So that's the other thing I'm going to have to play with. Madeira. Yeah, thank you, Jane. That was the other one it's going into. Thank you. Because I kind of just grabbed whatever I could. And so this is also going to be an experiment for us because we're going to be switching from Virginia as our place where we're aging to, the Balvenie Madeira cask is delicious. I think I actually have that on the shelf behind me. I brought that back when I went to Scotland last year. But yeah, so I appreciate the feedback because I basically said, not ready, too young. We haven't nailed the finish quite yet. Let's play a little more. So I'm going to go up to Oklahoma and, take the straight stuff again and put it in. And anybody who's willing, Jane, I'll send you a link. I actually have what's called my tasting team. And it's people who are experienced in whiskey and willing to try before we release it and give us their opinions. And I know this group's highly qualified, so you guys should sign up. And it turns into a paid position. So we actually will pay by the taste if you've got the creds. So if you're interested in doing that, we do a little trial, make sure, you get along with the team and everyone who's working on it. But I love expertise, and I know my tongue is very different than other people's tongue. And because I'm, this first release may have been leaning toward me, all the rest aren't, because I really have to think about the icon. I don't have a time limit now. I've got all these icons lined up. And so, and then the other thing we do ask you to sign is an NDA, because we'll tell you who the icon is and why we're giving you those tastes. So if you want to become part of the tasting team, it's pretty fun.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
and I agree,
I'm
Heimer. Jane
in.
is, I would love to see Jane volunteer and
I would absolutely volunteer. I was just like going, I'm in. Okay,
yeah.
here, wait, here's what I'm
And the other benefit is, if you like it, we
I
send
am
you
so
a bottle.
totally in. I'm so totally in because I really love whiskeys that so delicately and pronouncingly bring in wine and how the barrels affect it. And I love what this one was beautiful. It's my favorite of them so far.
Yeah,
Really
and
nice.
I'm friends with RD1, and I'm actually going to go spend very much time. Their distiller is nicknamed Dr. Wood. um, he's one of the most amazing finishers here stateside. So I'm going to be heading there. They were kind enough. And I hope to partner with them actually because I love their releases. I'm hoping they might want to do an American Icon with us. But I'm going to go and yeah, it's almost photo time. So we're going to do the last ones really fast and fun. So interestingly enough, Evel Knievel is the founder of Extreme Sports. So it would not surprise any of you that Fireball whiskey is one of the number one things that is people drink at events. Now, I personally hate Fireball. It's so bad. It's got so many additives. It's not clean in my opinion. So this last one is version 1. We're still working on it. Well, that's a shame. Yeah. But we're doing what's Evel Knievel used to jump through firewalls. And so we've come up with a really cool label of him progressing through the firewall across the label. And so Fireball is the devil's drink. Yeah. And so we're going to be releasing a Firewall whiskey. And as you taste this one, you can probably guess it's not just cinnamon. You might pick up a little bit more heat than your average. We used a very high quality bourbon. We're trying to keep the price point still, though, under $40 a bottle. And if I can just be honest and say I'm playing with pepper. And there's some pretty serious peppers in there. If you think of some of the hottest peppers on the planet, we're grinding, we're blending, and we're bagging, and we're putting tea bags in there. So this is version 1. And I'm kind of curious what you think you like and don't like about it, knowing our goal is a cinnamon pepper whiskey.
Excellent. While you're contemplating your thoughts, everybody come back on camera, please. Raise a glass. Lizzie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been an absolute blast. I think we got almost everybody. Pam's probably already asleep. Everybody raise your glass and say cheers.
Cheers.
Got it? If it doesn't look like we're all sleeping, we're good.
Yeah.
All right. Now drink.
So yeah, just last minute couple, because we're almost at the top of the hour. What do you think more, less? Obviously we're cinnamon, we're clove, we're not, we're doing some of the traditional spices, but there's a pepper in it.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you straight up front, my favorite dry preferred whatever. What I like best of all things that are not liquid is cinnamon. Okay.
Yeah.
So this kicks my butt right out of the room. This is awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So I think you're on the right road.
A little too hot and a little too strong.
Well, no, it's definitely hot. It's definitely, I mean, it's a whiskey, okay, but it is down that cinnamon road, which so few ever do.
Well, and what's interesting is, so chemical engineer here, I went and bought like every cinnamon whiskey on the shelf, and also looked at what they were doing ingredient wise, and it does make a difference on how the cinnamon is put in there, whether you use ground, whether you use Saigon, whether you use like cinnamon sticks. So I really am trying to play with the purest pieces of ingredients.
Which is?
Pardon?
Which is?
I'm using sticks right now.
Okay.
Now, I did put a little bit of cinnamon grind in the pepper mix, and I'm kind of snooty on my cinnamon. And I'm trying to remember where I sourced the ground cinnamon from, but it's not cheap. It's the one that you can't, like, if you eat too much cinnamon, you can get sick on it. Thank you, Ceylon Heinrich. Thank you. So I'm really playing with, and on the pepper side, it's a pepper blend, from, cayenne to ghost pepper. And now my challenge is replicating this at a larger scale. So I'm actually heading to Oklahoma to see if I can still get this now that I go to 400-gallon stainless steel tanks with tea bags. Because what I do is I pilot scale first, because I'm a chemie. That's who everything's pilot scale. And there is nothing artificial in this. That was the other thing, is I was like, when I looked at a lot of the brands, they just put stuff in there that's not clean. I'm so white. So yeah, the pepper showed them right away. Yeah. In fact, this one makes me sweat. Like, if I drink too much of it, I actually start sweating. So what'll be interesting is you're tasting something that's very small batch. It was very easy to do for a crowd of less than 30 people. But I have to now go to Oklahoma and take it to full scale. And that's always the challenges. When you have a cold poured in your tea, believe it or not, I have done that. It's beautiful for, like, when you're sick with a cold and have a cough. So what I'm hoping, fingers crossed, and again, if you're on the tasting team, is when I take it to the next size of production, that we can mimic this. So thank you. It looks like everybody liked it. So wish me luck, because in February, I'm heading up there to do it on a larger scale so that we can produce it mass scale. It's almost too sweet. Yeah. I may dial back the sweet, Jane. I'll be honest. I actually don't like it sweet, but I'm not producing this for me. I'm producing it for the Fireball crowd, and they like it a little sweeter. But if it was me, I would dial the sweet back a little.
Yeah, I love the pepper notes though.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice because it's all mouth hot. It doesn't then go down your throat and burn your stomach up.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I like that because it's like the heat is just right here.
Yeah. And like I said, I can't promise it's going to stay exactly this, because anytime you go from pilot to bench to full, it's always a challenge, but I'm up for it and I'm going to go have some fun. So tell me which one was your favorite. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah. So the poll's launched.
Yeah,
but I don't get to.
The pepper is still on my tongue. I just
I have to say
pepper. It was a little bit daring to put ghost pepper in. It's a pretty hot pepper.
Yeah.
And it doesn't go away. And I don't know if you've ever eaten one, but it's lingering. So I'm still playing a little bit with something with a little less ghost pepper.
I have a friend that grows hot peppers, and the hotter the better.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's sent me some of his sauces, one of which is called napalm.
Yeah, there is habanero in this too, Tony. You're right.
And this doesn't need that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think a pepper is actually nice in it, but
even though I don't like pepper and spicy and stuff, I agree with Tony. You don't get any of that artificial feeling to it, right? I mean, like you normally do, and so
and the pepper is literally just, it's ground. I've just mixed it and played with it, and
right.
I can't say I've still nailed it, but we're trying to just have that heat, but not kill you with it.
Right. I mean, I think people that like that will appreciate it. I'm just not it. So
yeah,
which is okay.
Yep.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it, especially playing with me on the last two, because like I said, those aren't even out or final or finished. So I'll make sure I send Vadim and Jane the link to join the tasting team. We don't actually put it up on the website just because everybody thinks they're a whiskey expert and they're not necessarily, but this group.
Yeah, if you send it to us,
I'm totally willing to give you guys free sign-up privileges.
We'll take care of it for you. Just get us the link.
Yep.
Do you want to take a guess at what the favorite was?
If it follows the focus groups, it's going to be the Pecan. But I don't know. I'm partial to the Cask strength. So
Well, I was going to say, have you met us yet? The Cask strength took it.
So and it's interesting. I'm not surprised it was the Cask strength because I'm like you guys. I just I like a little bit more juice in my engine. I don't know.
So this is a perfect bell curve.
Yeah.
On my screen. Because
can I take a picture? I'm going to take a picture of this because you guys are going to laugh. I'm an engineer. We go for the bell curve.
Oh yeah.
And so to see a bell curve on our 5 first releases, I'm actually kind of happy with that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the cool thing is, right, there's each of them got a vote, got at least
everything got one vote. So part
Here's
of
my thing. I
I
didn't get my vote in, and I'm going for the last. Okay, I'm going. It didn't get in there, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and I really look forward to seeing some of you on the tasting team because that's kind of fun. You get to Mad Scientist with me. And we're actually going to be doing a Scotch, and we're going to hopefully be introducing an entirely new whiskey to the States that's matured in either chestnut, mulberry, or cherry coopered casks. So it's not touching oak.
Chestnut is such an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the chestnut scored the highest so far, but it's actually, believe it or not, we're doing it off of a Scotch. Yeah. But what was interesting was I blind tasted them at an event. I didn't even tell anyone what it was. I didn't tell them it wasn't, I didn't tell them what cask it was in. I didn't tell them it was, 100% malted barley. And we had people wanting to place orders on the spot. And they were like, what is it? It's good. And I said, well, it's hopefully going to be something new to the marketplace. It's only going to be called whiskey because it can't qualify as anything else under any definition that's out there. But like I said, I'm the mad scientist. And when I had this, I was lucky enough to go over to Scotland and meet with the person doing this. And when I had it, I said, please let me release this under Evil Spirits in the US. I was just like, please give it to me. It was so good. So, and if I get any more bottles of it, I'll sneak you guys some of those too. In fact, I'm heading over to Scotland at some point this year to go bring more back so I can put it out to my tasting team and see, that. Oh, where did I get the cabinet behind me? Fascinating story. I bought this off a bar that closed, and he was stationed in Japan, and a giant piece of mahogany driftwood came ashore after a tsunami. And he had them, his original bar was in Japan before he moved to the States, and he had them carve this out of the piece of driftwood that came ashore. And it's the most amazingly beautiful piece I've ever seen in my life, and it's one of a kind. The crazy man sold it to me for $500. I would have paid $5,000.
Damn. I mean, I just love the idea of having a corner cabinet. Then, oh, you want whiskey? Pull out the shelf.
Yeah, and then like I opened them for this, but they all close, and you know, it was just like it was such a beautiful piece. And when he posted it, he said make an offer, and I was just being facetious because it was Facebook Marketplace. Half the time it's fraud and stupid, and so I just said $500. And I was like, if it's real, I'm getting the deal of a lifetime. If it isn't, who cares? And the guy was legit, and he had relocated to the States, and he had tried to have a bar here. It went under, and he gave it to me for $500, and it's my favorite piece. It's like the focus of my whiskey room. So yeah, I wish I could tell you there's another one out there, but according to him, it's one of a kind. I know I won't get rid of it. I'm actually opening some tasting rooms at the VFWs, and I think at our inaugural tasting room, I may move this over there just because it's such a great piece, and it's very old, and it's, you know, came out of, you know, an American getting sent over, you know, for the wars and keeping it around for a while. So it's got a kind of cool background on it. All right. Any other questions for me before we go? And thanks again for all the support and opinions and everything else, because I respect the hell out of all of you. So I'm looking forward to seeing some of you on my tasting.
You know us, we all have opinions.
I know, and that's what I love, because it's like when you're an independent bottler and blender, you're not working with one distillery or one source or one anything. You're trying to curate something that meets a wish or a need. So which I just love. I mean, I'm just having a blast traveling the world and finding cool stuff.
Yeah. So you have any big plans for future releases, things that we should keep an eye out for?
The Sinnamon, hopefully, if I scale it, should be coming out this summer. So that should hopefully, we've got the bourbon proof down. It's pretty low proof. As you know, flavored whiskeys are kind of around 30% alcohol. So yeah, and then those ones that are actually matured in non-oak, I am hoping, because they are beautiful holiday drinks, and we're hoping to have at least mini bottles by the fall for the holidays.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now we have something to look forward to.
Yep. And then if you know any craft distillers who, like, I really am passionate. When I met Land Run, I loved what they were doing. I loved how they were doing it. We formed a long-term partnership with them to promote. I will probably eventually want to have stake in that company because I'm going to work with them so much. So if you know of distillers or people who are newer or would love the opportunity to be under a global brand like Evel Spirits, because we are, these are all going all over the world over the next year, let me know, because if it's good stuff and they're not getting recognition, that's what I'm passionate about. I hate it when I go to a distillery and think, why does no one know about this? So please, if anybody's in that situation, send them our way. The good news is there's, you know, we have American Icon here. We've got interest overseas to do an actual company that's similar, but focuses on European icons. And then we're just going to get out to Japan, hopefully in the back half of this year. So we want to kind of create this thing because we, you know, life is kind of crazy right now, and having heroes and remembering there's people who do great things and push the envelopes and everything else. I think it's kind of what we need right now. So, so yeah, if you know anyone who would love to partner with our brand and our company, let me know. That's the other thing I didn't tell you all. We provide promotion, marketing, distribution, bottle design, like whatever they don't know. In fact, one of our services is, if you think your whiskey's good, we have a panel that'll taste it and point out they're like really experienced on distillation, finishing, aging, you know. And in fact, I'm going to be teaching a course on new make. If you guys are interested, it'll be the first over in Europe, because I'm very passionate about new make before it ever hits the barrel. I'm really fascinated with that. And there's no courses out there. So I'm going to be working with some of the distillers whose names you will recognize to give that course in Europe. And then I'm hoping to do it in Kentucky for new make bourbons and ryes. And we're still going to teach them Scotch, because I think it's good for the distillers to understand new make of all the types. So that's the other
brilliant idea. It's a brilliant idea.
I'm geeking out on wood finishing and new make. That's my two fun things. So you'll see a class coming out on that, hopefully both here in the States and it'll be in Europe first, because Scotland's very interested in the course because they've never had one before. And my partners in it are very well known. So it'll be there first, but it's coming over here after that.
So when and where is this all going to be for sale? Because of course, when I first heard about it, through this tasting, I thought, it's going to be sold at the museum. But obviously, you have much bigger plans.
So right now, it's on pre-sale at evelspirits.shop. And we did that first because we're selling it cheaper, because we know when the wholesaler and distributor puts it in stores, they price it where they want to price it. We don't control that. But it will be, we're on a 50-state staged distribution over the next 12 months. And it's solely because we can't produce enough to cover all 50 states up front. So it'll be hitting Texas, Montana, and Nevada and Oklahoma first. That's kind of our first four. And then we'll be doing coastal. So think Florida, California, Seattle, Oregon, New York, kind of the two coasts. And then we're going to kind of fill in the middle towards the end of the year. Because that's been actually with the government shutdown, our loan got delayed, our label approvals, we had all final labels. They asked us to delete one word, pure, off the label. And it took us like 12 weeks to get an approval back. So we're actually playing catch up because we were supposed to be out at Christmas, but it will be out in March. Thank God we got everything finally with a bow on it. So
started, I thought you said you're already selling in Scotland.
We have it on pre-sale.
Oh, pre-sale there too.
Yeah, pre-sale, so you can reserve a bottle. Yeah. And so anybody who buys on pre-sale gets everything that comes off the production line first. We have actually it's really a lot of Evel Knievel fans. They didn't want to wait for the store. They didn't want to wait, so we just put it up there and said, look, you guys get the first bottles if you buy it off the site. And then we'll supply the liquor stores second, which I don't know if that was a good business decision or a bad one, but the fan base is really loyal. So we really wanted them to get the first bottles because they're all in collector's edition bottles and boxes. www.evelspirits.shop, SHOP. Hold on, I'll put it in there. Little spirits. And if the site is down right now, that'll make me cry. And it's yeah, so we just wanted the fans to get, so just, the fan bases, we have some sites that they're all on. And so it's gone out to them first. And we just said, because you're fans, we're going to give you our first production. It might not be business-wise as smart as it should be, not to get in the liquor stores first, but we wanted to reward the fans who've been with us for decades.
Very cool. Anybody else have any other questions? Then I'm going to say thank you so much, Lizzie, for guiding us through this really fun tasting. I think we are all looking forward to seeing what else you guys come up with. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and y'all are welcome to hang out and chat and come up with more things that we need to do.
Yeah.
So again, thanks everyone for being here tonight.